a wonderful time of the month where we talk about new releases. Hello fellow book nerds, this is Gabby and today we are talking September releases. As you probably know, if you're watching this, I talk about new releases every month. I tell you what's coming up, what I'm excited about, what I'm going to be reviewing, etc, etc. You can always tell me in the comments, vote what you would like to see me review. But September is looking amazing. Like, I don't know, so August and September like are power months, whereas July left us a little bit dry. But we're just gonna get into it because there's 10 books to get through and they're all in the order of publication. So there you go. So we are starting with a bang because I've got a physical arc. What? I know, it's like, what even? So I was at York, which is a Comic-Con book expo type thing, and I entered a raffle and won this. So it's not like a publisher was like, yes, you, I choose you. No. It was more of a chance, but who cares? Because I got my first ever physical arc and it's so excited, like, oh, so much fun. Like, it's got like info sheet for me and all that. It's very exciting. But yeah, this book, I'm actually very hyped because I watched a panel from the author during the event as well. So it was really fun to hear her talk about it and it really intrigued me, and I thought the book was already out and I realized it's an arc, so I'm so excited. This is not the final copy, this is kind of like a more simple one. If you check out this, apparently is the final copy, so looks quite good. I did think this was a very simple cover, but yeah, it's got like more details, whatnot. So that's very exciting. But yeah, this is what it says. A simmering supernatural romance set in the crumbling Italian city of Castello, where mafia clans make the rules, dark magic pulses the streets, and the sins of the past threaten to consume the present. So this one's coming out on September 1st. And is there anything else that I could find on Goodreads? With Fire in Their Blood is seductive, simmering, supernatural YA romance debut set in mainland Italy. Perfect for the lovers of the urban fantasy of René Adier's The Beautiful, the forbidden romance of Tracy Wolfe's Crave, and those still mourning the end of the Twilight Saga, and supernatural world building of Stephanie Meyer. From the moment 16-year-old Lily De Luca arrives in the ancient Italian town of Castello, she knows it is deadly. The town is divided by an invisible line, keeping the warring families of Marconi and Paradiso from destroying each other. Lily quickly falls in love with the seductive, rebellious Lisa, brooding Nico, and sensitive Christian, who are all keeping their own secrets, and sparks begin to fly. Then Lily accidentally breaks Castello's most important rule. When the general's men come to test your blood, you'd better not be anything more than human. Okay, first book I'm dying, is The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. So we're starting strong. This was coming out on 6th of September and it's a YA horror. And I'm 99% sure, but once I read the synopsis, I'll be sure. I think this is a Carrie by Stephen King retelling from Tiffany D. Jackson, who's the genius behind things like Grown. So she's an amazing writer and I am so excited. The cover looks absolutely amazing. Like, I really want a physical copy because it's so gorgeous. So I'm just gonna tell you what it's about. But like, oh my god, I'm definitely reading this ASAP. When Springville residents, at least the ones still alive, are questioned about what happened on prom night, they all have the same explanation. Maddie did it. An outcast at her small town Georgia high school, Madison, Washington has always been a teasing target for bullies. And she's dealt with it because she has more pressing problems to manage. Until the morning a surprise rainstorm reveals her most closely kept secret: Maddie is biracial. She has been passing for white her entire life, at the behest of her fanatical white father, Thomas Washington. After a viral bullying video pulls back the curtain on Springville High's racist roots, student leaders come up with a plan to change their image. hosts the school's first integrated prom as a show of unity. The popular white class president convinces her black superstar quarterback boyfriend to ask Maddie to be his date, leaving Maddie wondering if it's possible to have a normal life. But some of her classmates aren't done with her just yet. And what they don't know is that Maddie still has another secret. One that will cost them their lives. Dum dum dum. So yeah, it's obviously a Carrie retelling, but it sounds really good. Book number 2 sounds so good too. It's called Monsters Born and Made by Tanvi Berwah. It's also coming out on 6th of September, and it's a YA dystopian fantasy. And it's saying that it's perfect for fans of the Hunger Games and these varying delights. This South Asian-inspired fantasy is a gripping debut about the power of the elite, the price of glory, and one girl's chance to change it all. To me, that already sounds amazing. But this is the actual synopsis. 16-year-old Coral and her older brother Enric risk their lives each day to capture the monstrous Mari stags that live in the Black Seas around their island. They have to, or else their family will starve. In an oceanic world swarming with vicious beasts, the Landers, the ruling elite, have indentured Coral's family to provide the Mari stags for the glory race, a deadly chariot tournament reserved for the upper class. The winning contender receives gold and glory. The others, if they're lucky, survive. When the last Mari stag of the year escapes and Coral has no new Mari stag to sell, her family's financial situation takes a turn for the worse, and they can't afford medicine for her chronically ill little sister. Coral's only choice is to do what no one in the world has ever dared: cheat her way into the glory race. But every step of the way is unpredictable as Coral races against contenders, including her ex-boyfriend, and who have no intention of letting a low-caste girl steal their glory. When a rebellion rises and rogues attack Coral to try and force her to drop out, she must choose her life or her sister's before the whole island burns. Sounds really good. It looked like it had amazing reviews, so I'm very excited for it. Next up, we have the Sunbearer Trials by Aiden Thomas. So this one's coming on 6th of September as well, and it's a YA fantasy with LGBTQ+ characters. And this is by the author of Cemetery Boys, which I loved, and I thought it was a really good YA fantasy. So I'm very excited to read this one as well. As each new decade begins, the sun's power must be replenished so that Sol can keep traveling along the sky and keep the evil obsidian gods at bay. 10 semi-dioses between the ages of 13 and 18 are selected by Sol himself as the most worthy to compete in the Sunbearer Trials. The winner carries light and life to all the Templars of Reino de Sol. But the loser has the greatest honor of all. They will be sacrificed to Sol, their body used to fuel the sunstones that will protect the people of Reino de Sol for the next 10 years. Theo, a 17-year-old jade semidios and the trans son of Quetzal, goddess of birds, has never worried about the trials, or rather, he's only worried for others. His best friend, Nia, daughter of Tierra, the god of earth, is one of the strongest heroes of their generation, and is much too likely to be chosen this year. He also can't help but worry, reluctantly and under protest, for Aurelia, a powerful gold semidios, and Theo's friend-turned-rival, who is a shoo-in for the trials. Theo wouldn't mind taking Aurelia down a notch or two, but a 1 in 10 chance of death is a bit too close for Theo's taste. But then, for the first time in over a century, Sol chooses a semidios who isn't a god. In fact, he chooses two: Xia, the 13-year-old child of Mala Suerte, god of bad luck, and Tia. Now they must compete in 5 mysterious trials against opponents who are both more powerful and better trained for fame, glory, and their own survival. Sounds very fun, and it's always cool to have a trans main character, so I'm looking forward to it. Oof, this one. I didn't know this was coming, or like I must have known because I added it on Goodreads as I want to read it, but I forgot and I didn't see the cover, I don't think. And now I'm like, perdona? Silver Under Nightfall by Chupeco. This is coming out on 13th of September, and it's adult horror fantasy with LGBTQ plus characters. And I love the cover, and Chupeco is the author of Wicked As You Wish, which I liked, and The Bone Witch, which I liked as well. And I think their books are just really, really cool. So I'm very excited. Like, I didn't realize this was adult as well. It just sounds so good. And I think it's a standalone, although more research needs to be made to say that for sure. Remy Pendergast is many things. The only son of Duke of Vallenbone, though his father might wish otherwise, an elite bounty hunter of rogue vampires and an outcast among his fellow reapers. His mother was a subject of gossip even before she eloped with a vampire, giving rise to the rumors that Remy is a half-vampire himself. Though the kingdom of Aluria barely tolerates him, Remy's father has been shaping him into a weapon to fight for the kingdom at any cost. When a terrifying new breed of vampire is sighted outside of the city, Remy prepares to investigate alone. But then he encounters the shockingly warm-hearted vampire heiress Shiodan Song and her infuriatingly arrogant fiancé, vampire Lord Zidan Malek, who may hold the key to defeating the creatures, though he knows associating with them won't do his reputation any favors. When he's offered a spot alongside them to find the truth about the mutating virus rot that's plaguing the kingdom, Remy faces a choice. It's one he's certain he'll regret. But as the three face dangerous hardships during their journey, Remy develops fond and complicated feelings for the couple. He begins to question what he holds true about vampires, as well as the story behind his own family legacy. As the rot continues to spread across the kingdom, Remy must decide where his loyalties lie. With his father and the kingdom he's been trained all his life to defend, or the vampires, who might just be the death of him. Is that so good? I love a good vampire story. Oh my god, the vampires are back and I'm so happy, baby! Next one sounds really, really, really interesting. So it's As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zoulfa Katouh. This is coming out on 13th of September, and it's a YA historical fantasy. People I talked to, Yolk. So Yolk is like a part of Comic-Con. It's like a book festival, and the publisher was there, and I entered like a competition to maybe win an arc, but I didn't win. But they did say it's really sad, and I'm gonna cry. And they were like, do you like crying? And I was like, no, I don't. That's not what I'm about. So we'll see. But this is a synopsis. Salama Kassab was a pharmacy student when the cries for freedom broke out in Syria. She still had her parents and her big brother. She still had her home. She had a normal teenager's life. But now Salama volunteers at a hospital in Homs, helping the wounded who flood through the doors daily. Secretly, though, she is desperate to find a way out of her beloved country before her sister-in-law, Layla, gives birth. So desperate that she has manifested a physical embodiment of her fear in the form of her imagined companion, Katouh, who haunts her every move in an effort to keep her safe. But even with Katouh pressing her to leave, Salama is torn between her loyalty to her country and her conviction to survive. Salama must contend with bullets and bombs, military assaults, and her shifting sense of morality before she might finally breathe free. And when she crosses paths with the boy she was supposed to meet one fateful day, she starts to doubt her resolve in leaving home at all. Soon, Salama must learn to see the events around her for what they truly are, not a war, but a revolution, and decide how she, too, will cry for Syria's freedom. Oh yeah, it does sound like I'm gonna cry. Next up we have Rust in the Root by Justina Ireland. So this one's coming out on 20th of September, and it's a YA historical fantasy with LGBTQ characters, and this is the synopsis. It is 1939 and Laura Ann Langston lives in an America divided between those who work the mystical arts and those who do not. Ever since the Great Rust, a catastrophic event that blighted the arcane force called the dynamism, and threw America into disarray, the country has been rebuilding for a better future. And everyone knows the future is industry and technology, otherwise known as mechomancy, not the traditional mystic arts. Laura disagrees. A talented young queer mage from Pennsylvania, Laura hoped a portal to New York City on her 17th birthday with hopes of earning her mage's license and becoming something more than a root worker. But 4 months later, she got little to show for it other than an empty pocket and broken dreams. With nowhere else to turn, Laura applies for a job with the Bureau of Arcane Conservation Corps, a branch of the US government dedicated to repairing the dynamism so that mechomancy can thrive. Next one is Girlfriends by Holly Bourne. This one's coming out on 27th of September and it's a contemporary fiction, so not really my thing. I don't actually know why I don't remember exactly why I marked it as one to read, but I remember I think someone saying that it was amazing for dissecting female friendships, and I'm all about that, so I'm intrigued but cautiously so. Men see women in two separate categories. There are the women they sleep with and the women they fall in love with, and they will treat you differently based on that. From the day they first met as teenagers, Fern and Jessica are best friends. Despite their differences, they are there for each other throughout everything, navigating the difficulties of growing up and fitting in. That is, until Jessica crosses a line that Fern can't forgive. But now, more than 10 years later, Jessica has unexpectedly reappeared in Fern's life. A lot has changed for both of them, but can their relationship be different now that they're older? Is it possible for either of them to rewrite the role that they have been cast in? Or will their shared history ultimately be doomed to repeat itself again? Again, cautiously optimistic. Oh my god, next one. I'm so excited. And I want the US cover so bad. This was called House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson, and it's coming out on 27th of September, and it's a gothic horror adult novel, and it's got LGBTQ plus characters, and it's by the author of The Year of the Witching, which is right there. And the US cover, oh my god. I don't even know if the UK cover is out yet, so I'll put it out. But the US cover. This is the synopsis. Marion Shaw has been raised in the slums, where want and deprivation is all she knows. Despite longing to leave the city and its miseries, she has no real hope of escape until the day she spots a peculiar listing in a newspaper, seeking a blood maid. Though she knows little about the far north, where wealthy nobles live in luxury and drink the blood of those in their service, Marion applies to the position. In a matter of days, she finds herself the newest blood maid and then at the notorious House of Hunger. There, Marion is swept into a world of dark debauchery, and at the center of it all is her. Countess Elizabeth, who presides over the hedonistic court, is loved and feared in equal measure. She takes a special interest in Marion. Elizabeth is magnetic, and Marion is eager to please her new mistress. But when her fellow bloodmates begin to go missing in the night, Marion is thrust into a vicious game of cat and mouse. She'll need to learn the rules of her new home, and fast, or its halls will soon become her grave. Next book is exciting because I've got an arc, so that's nice. Last of Talons by Sophie Kim is also coming out on 27th of September, and it's a YA fantasy. And like I said, I've got an arc for it on NetGalley, which is very exciting. I just thought the cover looked really cool. And I really, really love fantasy from Asian, East Asian, South Asian authors. So, as you can see, these are all 5 stars. So I thought this would be good as well. And I got an arc, which is fun. After the destruction of her entire Talon gang, 18-year-old Shin Lina, the Reaper of Sanpo, is forced to become a living, breathing weapon for the kingdom's most feared crime lord. All that keeps her from turning on her ruthless master is the life of her beloved little sister hanging in the balance. But the order to steal a priceless tapestry from the Dokkaebi temple incites not only the wrath of legendary immortal, but the beginning of an unwinnable game. Suddenly, Lina finds herself in the dreamlike realm of Dokkaebi, her fate in the hands of its cruel and captivating emperor. But she can win her life if she kills him first. Now a terrible game of life and death has begun, and even Lina's swift, precise blade is no match for the magnetic Hanul Rui. Lina will have to use every weapon in her arsenal if she wants to outplay this cunning king and save her sister, all before the final grain of sand leaks out of the hourglass. Because one way or another she'll take Rui's heart, even if it means giving up her all. Like last but certainly not least, is Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. So this was coming out on 27th of September, and it's a YA historical fantasy, and it's the companion duology to These Violent Delights duology, which I really liked the special book too. So I'm excited what the author has to bring with this one. So it's 1931 in Shanghai, and the stage is set for a new decade of intrigue. 4 years ago, Rosalind Lang was brought back from the brink of death, but the strange experiment that saved her also stopped her from sleeping and aging, and allows her to heal from any wound. In short, Rosalind cannot die. I didn't know this. Now desperate for redemption from her treacherous past, she uses her abilities as an assassin for her country. Codename Fortune. But when the Japanese Immortal Army begins its invasion march, Rosalind's mission pivots. A series of murders is causing unrest in Shanghai, and the Japanese are under suspicion. Rosalind's new orders are to infiltrate foreign society and identify the culprits behind the terror plot before more of her people are killed. To reduce suspicion, however, she must pose as the wife of another nationalist spy, Orion Hong. And though Rosalind finds Orion's cavalier attitude and playboy demeanor infuriating, she is willing to work with him for the greater good. Orion has an agenda of his own, and Rosalind has secrets that she wants to keep buried. As they both attempt to unravel the conspiracy, the two spies soon find that there are deeper and more horrifying layers to this mystery than they ever imagined. I mean, it's like my favorite, like, not only did I love These Violent Delights, and I didn't like, but I found very intriguing Rosalind's character, this is a fake relationship plot trope, so, which is my all-time ever favorite. I love it. It's the best. Yeah, so I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to it. Apparently the cover's hated, but I like it. So I don't know. I think it looks good. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Don't you dare judge me. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments which one would you like me to review for you, which one you're most excited about, what's a release that you're really looking forward to. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much again. If you could comment, like, and subscribe, I really, really appreciate it. It really helps me out. But that's it for me, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!